Welcome to the Shoulder Strikes MMA Podcast. You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box. Welcome to the Shoulder Strikes MMA Podcast. You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Shoulder Strikes MMA Podcast. We are back fresh off of a Super Bowl weekend, a UFC Vegas 86 weekend. I know everyone was, they didn't watch the Super Bowl. They just, the weekend was over the second that Jack Hermanson and Joe Pyfer got in there and took care of business. I'm not being serious, but I'm just glad that we have a big fight card, big, just moments, and something can happen next week, because these last few weeks have been really dull in the MMA, and honestly in the combat sports space in general. But my name is Matt McSweeney. This is the Shoulder Strikes MMA Podcast. I'm joined by Ty Capone. Ty, how are you feeling? Did you enjoy the fights at all? I know Teofimo won to a little bit of a controversial decision I've been seeing online, but what were your thoughts on the action from this past weekend?
Yeah, there wasn't much action, I would say.
No.
There was an LFA event, I think. Nobody really crazy in that one. ACA, did anything happen there? No,
I didn't send this to you, but did you see the video of the Russians fighting 3-on-1? Or I don't know if it was even Russians, but I just assume every crazy shit that I see is Russian.
Yeah.
And he choked all of them out. He submitted them all separately, which is insane. They would stop the fight and re-stand it up. I was like, this is awesome. We need more of this in America.
We might as well do that at the Apex over what we're doing now.
Yeah.
But no, the fights weren't great. I mean, the boxing card was not great. Teofimo Lopez put on a snooze vest, and then, started making excuses and complaining and this and that, that
Typical
Ortiz was
stuff.
running. We'll definitely get into that a little bit. There's not much to touch on. I mean, the card was pretty good. There was a couple young prospects who were able to shine, but just a non-action weekend, and we thought it was going to be a decent little something at least. But yeah, there's only 3 guys who landed triple digits of significant strikes on this UFC card. I'm sorry, 2 guys. So not really anything.
And we're
crazy.
starving for something, man. We need something to happen.
At least it's Topuria fight week. We're getting a new champion.
Yeah,
and I can't wait.
We'll have a full breakdown of that entire fight card later on this week. I mean, right now, like yesterday, the big thing was that we might hear the UFC 300 main event during the Super Bowl, which you would think in that case, it's going to be something big, but then nothing happens, of course, because how many times have we been blue-balled over this main event? And I think it's honestly ultimately going to be disappointing, whatever it is. That's what I just tweeted out. I just saw a tweet that was, and you saw the same thing, the report from like Ariel Helwani or something like that. It's going to be either Bilal and Leon, or Leon and Chimaev, or Chimaev and DDP. But Chimaev can't fight in the States, so it's not going to be Chimaev. So I don't understand. Or Adesanya and DDP was another. Or I don't know. Either way, I just think it's going to be disappointing. It's probably just going to be Leon and Bilal, like we had originally thought, and everyone had kind of speculated on that was the fight that they were going to do. It's going to be disappointing if that's the actual main event, but I mean, 200 had a disappointing main event, so it's just, we expected this. It's just a shame that Dana keeps trying to hype this up and talk about this or that, or how great this event's going to be, and it's going to have some good fights. It's going to be a good card. It's just not going to be the level that he has in some ways tried to build it up to be. It's just not going to live up to that.
Yeah, a lot of people are thinking it's supposed to be a generational card, best card ever, just because it's, I don't know. I'm here for the multiple cards in a row that are going to be good. 298's going to be good. 298's prelims aren't amazing if you look at the very beginning, but I mean, Josh Quinlan, Danny Barlow, that's not going to get anybody out of their seats. I don't think. I don't even really remember Danny Barlow. Yes, I do. I do remember Danny Barlow. His nickname is Left Hand of God. Actually, I'm excited about that fight. If you remember Left Hand of God, when he put that dude Raheem Forrest out early, and then Josh Quinlan was the fellow who I guess he had a bunch of first-round knockouts before he fought Trey Waters. So something's got to give, I guess, in that. But either way, 298 should be solid. 299 is going to be insane. Hopefully we can keep that together. And 300 is going to be good. They have a lot planned for this Mexican Independence Day card at the Sphere, right?
Yeah, I don't.
So
Is that going to be the
that should
one
be
in
crazy.
February that they're doing at the
Yeah,
Sphere?
I thought so. Is it at the end of the month
I don't.
after 298?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's. Yeah, I guess I saw a lot of tweets about that yesterday, so I don't know.
Yeah, I
if,
heard him on McAfee talk about that.
But Mexican Independence Day is in September, so I don't know if that's what they're like
It's
angling
not
towards.
independent. I guess it's something else then, right? It's not
Some sort
it's
of
not
event,
that.
right? I don't know. Either way, I can't wait till they're at the Sphere.
It appears that it's Flag Day, Dia de la Bandera,
Nice.
national holiday in Mexico
that shit.
dedicated to the flag of Mexico. So that's the 24th.
I mean, they have a
For
sick
sure.
flag.
Flag Day. Yeah, they do have a sick flag, but I guess there's a whole thing happening for that, and I'm trying to see if it is. It says Arena CDMX. Is that the Sphere?
TDM.
I don't know. I don't know what that means, but they got some big plans coming. At least we have 10, 11, 12 weeks straight with fights. So yeah, I'm still excited. I know a lot of people are not. It's definitely the UFC needs to start recovering their image, I guess, if you will. I mean, they also have the lawsuit coming up in April, which is when 300 is going to be. So it's going to be a weird summer, I think. Weird next couple months for sure.
Yeah, I was just in the middle of taking a sip of that bev, but I'm kind of just over the. I was so excited about this, and now I just don't care about 300. Like when 300 rolls around, I will be excited because, like I said, great fights and everything. But I had thought maybe we would get a sort of real cool, maybe a return, from McGregor or something. Like I don't know. Like the more this went on,
Yeah.
I felt like they were trying to pull a rabbit out of the hat. A McGregor Diaz, I don't know, like that. Those kind of fantasy booking sort of things that you do, but it just never. We're not even really close to that. Not even, even
fights,
more in the
looks
realm
like.
of possibility. Maybe a Poatan and Adesanya 205. Like that would be sick, and I would
Yeah,
get
that'd be
excited
pretty good.
about that. Now, we're gonna end up with Bilal and Leon Edwards, and it's just a regular pay-per-view main event now. And that's,
I will say though, the prelims being filled with because there's 4 fights on the main card. It looks like, and I heard Dana say he wants to add 2. So I'm guessing there's the main event, and then I'm expect everyone's looking for the main event. I'm expecting like a solid main event or main card fight that nobody really saw coming. Like I don't know what, but just something crazy where that can kind of help
Boost it
mind
a
the
little
gap
bit.
between the main event being shit compared to from what everybody's expecting. But I'll say the prelims having Cater Sterling, Bo Nickel, Figgy Garbrandt, Bobby Green, Jim Miller, Kayla Harrison debut, Diego Lopez is back. Like that's pretty solid. But I think a lot of people are just down on it. So
as they would say, he
That's what
kind
you'll
of
see.
booked himself into a little bit of a corner here, and
Yeah.
he just he's running out of options, he's running out of time, and we're gonna have. I mean, I think by the end of this week, I would have thought that last week though, but I think we got to find out some way somehow. We got to know, and I think it is Bilal and Leon. I would imagine that whoever it is, like you said, I think you said this last week, they're training. Like people already know about this. It's just the public know about it. So I guess hopefully soon enough we shall see. And now, Ty, we get into UFC Vegas 86 from the Apex this past weekend. Joe Pyfer and Jack Hermanson. What are you clicking around with over there? I keep hearing some sort of there's some sort of clicking going on over there. I don't know what's going on.
Is it still going on?
No, it's good now.
I didn't do it. It wasn't me.
It's good now. I don't know. Maybe I'm just tripping. Jack Hermanson, 5-round unanimous decision over Joe Pyfer. This fight was kind of the tale of 2 different fights. The first 2 rounds were all Joe Pyfer. No, I guess not all, but he had control of the octagon, was landing with power, and was, just establishing his dominance and controlling the octagon. And then the longer the fight went on, the more it led to Jack just taking over, pressure, pace, kickboxing, leg kicks, all that sort of stuff. And that vet lesson that we were fearful of wound up coming to fruition here against Joe Pyfer. Looking back on it now, it looks like it had this would have been a perfect 3-round fight on a main card of a pay-per-view for Joe Pyfer because he would have won. He won the first 2 rounds and lost the last 3. He would have won a 29-28 decision and gotten out of there with the victory, but it was a 5-round fight. It's not how it goes. You don't just get to pick and choose, and they knew what they were walking into. He just kind of, got vet checked and got maybe a little bit of fraud checked too. He's just not there yet. So it's going to take a little bit of time, and he goes to kind of restart to the, not necessarily the back of the line, but he's going to have to fight a couple more killers to prove himself to get back into a spot like this, because this is a huge spot right here, and he came up short. It's unfortunate, but it's a good win for Jack Hermansson.
Yeah, really good win for him, especially, starting down 2-0. I know there was a lot of expectation that he was going to continue to win the next 3, but still to actually do that, it's tough. You're fighting a guy who's really tough, very young. Jack's kind of had a weird road, but this keeps him right in the middle of the thick of, right in the thick of things at middleweight. So that's good. He was really able to just catch he never really caught Joe Pyfer's shots, at their best, I guess. He kind of he did really his striking defense was awesome. I'll say. His head movement, just kind of, catching the shots at the very end of it. Not taking any big hooks. He was eating
real
some
high
jabs,
guard.
but yeah, the leg kicks he started to check eventually because they were, Pyfer was throwing some leg kicks. He was doing pretty well with them early, and then I think he was kind of matching him first couple rounds, and then eventually he stopped throwing them because he started taking them.
Yeah.
He hasn't really checked them. We talked about that before, and it's huge, man. And his overall offensive game is not very diverse. I do like Pyfer's jab. I do like some of his movement, especially early. I wish he would just fire the straight right instead of like a right hook.
Yeah.
Get there quicker. He does have speed. He does have quick hands and power, but he just doesn't have. It's not all together yet. And he's super young and super inexperienced. So this is just going to do well for him. Going 5 rounds with somebody like Jack Hermansson, it's going to be a very good lesson for him. And it's not like he gassed out horribly. I don't think it's not like he got knocked the fuck out. It's not like he was getting beat up. I mean, he had some cuts. It looked like he had a cut on his collarbone, and then his eye, and then his 2 on his nose. He started getting beat up a little bit, but
Towards the end, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a lifetime beating. It wasn't. It was just a very good loss, I guess. I hate to say that because it kind of sounds lame, but
I think it's fair.
It was a good loss. Yeah, I think it was a good loss. We'll see what he does next time. I think they need to give him a nice step down for sure. Maybe a late notice fight against somebody to save a card somewhere. But we talked about it also before. This is a huge step up, so maybe they rushed things, right? Maybe something they did with Strickland when Strickland fought a Boost, and it was like, damn, a Boost in the main event of a 5-round fight against Sean Strickland. All right, we'll see how that works. And I think this was just another case of that. So I don't think Joe's done. I think he has a pretty solid all around game. He has good guys in his corner, but it just wasn't his night.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. It's just kind of in a little bit over his head, and you never really know until the fight happens and you get to see it with your own eyes. You can posture and hypothesize and do all those different things and guess, but you truly don't know until it happens. Because had Pyfer gone in there and knocked him out in the first 3 minutes, everyone would have been saying, "Wow, this guy should be fighting for a title," when he shouldn't be, because it's obvious that there's some holes in his game that need to be fixed, and he's not there yet. It's unfortunate, but it is a good win. I don't want to take it away from Jack. Jack looked good. He looked durable. Like you said, he was he's taking the shots well. It wasn't, he was kind of rolling with them and wasn't, on the end of those punches to kind of eat the brunt of them. And I am with you with that. Joe Pyfer just throwing too much looping stuff. It's kind of the tale as old as time with fighters coming up who are in love with their own knockout power instead of just plodding forward and throwing those straight shots right up the middle. He is always looking for that one-hitter-quitter knockout blow. And fighters that are on the level of Jack Hermansson have had 30-plus mixed martial arts fights. They are prepared for that kind of fight and see that kind of puncher probably in the gym all the time. So it's just, if you're not able to land on the end of that and find that shot, then it's going to be a long night. And it wound up being a long night for for Joe, that is. And I guess we'll see what they do next with everybody involved. I don't know really what's next for Jack, if he goes back to kind of just staying in that top 10 gatekeeping position, or if they move him up to, I don't know, fight. It's kind of the middleweight division's in a little bit of a holding pattern. So maybe you give him a Caio Borrello or something like that. Or
he called out Imavov, right? I think that would be a good fight.
Yeah, I mean,
it would be.
It would be. Hopefully not a main event.
Yeah, but I think they would. You know, they love to put 185 guys at the main event of Apex cards, which nobody wants. Nobody in their right mind wants this. We'll see what happens next year with the new TV deal, but 2024, nothing's going to change when it comes to these Apex cards. So, you know, that sucks.
It's unfortunate, but good win for Jack. Don't want to take that away from him. And Joe, it's not the end of the world. A couple people in my group chat were like, he's just not that good. I'm like, well, you know.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Definitely not yet.
I guess that's fair, but you're acting
younger than us.
Yeah, but this is the mistake, though, that we make in the MMA world and just the gambling, especially. We see that and we go, oh, well, he stinks, or he's not that good. And then the next time out, when he fights for example, Chris Curtis, you know, you're instantly going to fade him against Chris Curtis, but it's like, well, he could catch Chris Curtis and you know, get him out of there. It's just a conversation that just, you know, this is why we love watching the UFC. Ty, I didn't actually go over our stats for this past week. I did want to go over that. Let me grab the sheet real quick. Give me 1 second.
1 second.
There you go. That's a dramatic second, ladies and gentlemen. I am back. I went 3-3. What's up? Back. Is he really?
Yeah, he's back. Well, not
breaking
back in UFC.
News.
Octagon with a K. He's going to be in the co-main event. It looks like February 3rd. I believe that already happened. But
it did.
Oh, okay. I see the day and the month are okay. I'm a little dumb. So March 2nd. I got you.
Perfect.
All right. We'll be there.
I will be there no matter what. How about I went 3-3 plus 0.95 units, so I would say that's a good night for me. On the year, I am 10-18-1. I am down 1 unit, 1.2 units. So, ladies and gentlemen, as always, we tell you, do not look at our win-loss record. I caution you to not judge us off that, because we are taking some heavy props on this podcast, and it's that does not tell the whole story.
We'll be back.
13-7. Hey, no, I mean, listen,
it's been rough.
We're just getting started. I don't think it's actually, I mean, compared to if people were listening to this podcast last year and knew what we went through last year, then you would know this is a walk in the park. We are just getting our feet wet. You went 13-17-1. You are still up on the year, plus 2.25 units. You went 3-6 this week. You went down 2 units. What really killed you was Petrosian, unfortunately, with the double whammy, the first double whammy of the year, and it goes downhill. But let's keep it moving. Let's run through this card real quick for the people. How about Dan Ige knocking Andre Fili seemingly from his consciousness? One more punch to follow it up to kind of say, thanks for coming. Dribbled his head right off the canvas.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Herzog.
Yeah, Herzog a little late getting in there. Wanted to give Fili a chance to be a warrior, but it was a little too late. Andre Fili got knocked out, was thinking of thick Latina women I'm just kidding. I'm just messing around. But
as was I.
Yeah, but good win for Dan Ige. I wish we would have taken it on the card. I had it in my private life, a little TKO plus 300. I don't know how the number was that high, but it's just, this was a fight, though. We talked about it before. We just didn't know what we were going to say. So that's why we were, I guess, hesitant to, pick one side or the other, or really be confidently proclaiming what we thought was going to happen. So it's just a good win for Dan Ige and Andre Fili. It seems like that's somebody tweeted out a meme of whenever Dan Ige his numbers on the line for his ranking, he turns into like Kobe or Shaq. Like I was like, it's literally true, because every time he's like ever since he's been ranked is like kind of the back and forth sort of 500, not necessarily 500 fighter, but. He lost 3 in a row. Then he won 2 against Damon Jackson. Landwehr loses to Bryce Mitchell last time, comes back out, takes care of business against Andre Fili. So
Actually, that's a good point. Remember, after he lost to Julio Arce, knocks out Mike Santiago in a minute, loses to Calvin Kattar, knocks out Gavin Tucker in 20 seconds.
Yep.
Goes on that 3-fight losing streak, knocks out Damon Jackson. Took him a little bit. Loses to Bryce Mitchell, knocks out Andre Fili in about half a round. So, yeah, that's very true. He has good bounce-back performances. How long will that go on? Not sure. He didn't take any damage in this fight, but you just know he's getting older and older. But, yeah, man, I mean, listen, earned up to his nickname, right? So,
50K.
Good on him for doing that and getting that 50K bonus.
Great win for him. Tough to see Fili get knocked out like that, but it's not.
Yeah, I like him.
It feels like it's not the end of the world for him. He's just going to bounce back, and he's not done necessarily done yet. Yeah, I hope he does. I hope he doesn't bounce up off the canvas. Just get up, please,
get up.
Andre. How about Ihor, the duelist? Really, just proving us wrong over and over and over again. He says the Shoulder Strikes MMA podcast is his biggest haters, and we might be. But
yeah.
But who knows? Listen, maybe Robert just wasn't that good. You know, I think he got 30-27 across the board. He
actually got around from Chris Flores.
There you go.
For some reason.
There was a lot. There's some conversations all over the place about judges here. We will get into later on during this card breakdown.
I guess he got the first round, which I didn't really
agree with.
I didn't really understand much, but I guess that was the closest of the 3 rounds. I mean, he didn't do shit. I guess that was the closest, but got dropped in the third, Mr. Bricek. And yeah, I guess, just not right. Honestly, just probably not UFC
he might
caliber.
stink.
If you get beat by Ihor Potieria, especially that easily, I mean,
it wasn't really that close.
I don't know. He's not a young guy. He's in his mid-30s, so. Yeah,
I'll say it now.
What we got cooked up for him
next. They are going to feed him to some murderer next, and that's it. We are. It's time to cash it, brother. Please cash us in, cash us out. If they give him, we'll get into him, that gentleman next. But yeah, Bricek is not. He's not him. It's that. It's. I'm good on that. I'll lose money one time on him. I am not betting that again. And I'm not betting Ihor Potieria. I don't care how good this guy continues to look.
We might be able to fade him next fight.
For sure.
I mean, he was moving down, so maybe he stays down, or maybe he goes back up to fight somebody better and bigger. Bricek's pretty small. I don't even know if he's 6 foot. So I think maybe there's a chance we can fade the duelist eventually.
Unfortunately, I'm always looking for an opportunity to fade the duelist, and anytime I get the chance, I will continue to take that opportunity. How about RoboCop? He looked great. Well, I will say he looked great, but he got tagged a couple times during this fight. Started doing the chicken dance at one point. Did not look good, but he's durable, and he was lowering the boom on Brad Tavares, who took the shots well for a long period of time, but eventually they found his way. He was throwing knees. He was throwing those straight rights that just looked so powerful, so technical, and it looked ugly towards the end, and he just slumped into a kind of a heap on the side of the octagon, and that was it. RoboCop cashes out our inside the distance tie. What a good win for Mr. Rodriguez.
Yeah, 31. This is probably the prime of his life, of his career. I think, it's a huge win at the very end or the very beginning of the third round too. Over a tough guy. I mean, how many times has Brad Tavares been to finish in his career? I think, 5 now, but it had been a long. It hasn't. Okay. Yeah, he just has been durable. I guess he is. Yeah. Okay. For some reason, I thought that was only the second time after Bruno Silva, but I forgot about Edmund Shabazian, Robert Whitaker, and Tim Boach. Right. So, yeah. So, still a very good win for RoboCop. He's got 2 in a row now. Dennis Talul and Brad Tavares. So, a big step up from that bounce back win, and I believe he's ranked, right? I think should be a number next to his name at least in the coming months, in the coming days. We'll see. I think he should probably get a top 15, top 20 fight next. I mean, dude, I wouldn't even mind seeing him against Joe Pyfer. I know that might be a little much for Joe to bounce back from, but why not? Why slow play it? He's RoboCop again. He's 31. This site is just not.
Who would you pick in that?
I'd probably pick RoboCop. Unfortunately, I mean, he's big. No, I don't know. Yeah, that's he gets hit easily.
Under 1.5. If I can get it at anything under minus 300, I guess would probably be the move.
Yeah, I would do that too. Maybe RoboCop gets Roman Dolidze. Maybe he gets him. Maybe he gets Paul Craig. Does he have a fight?
He'd kill him, I think.
Yeah, Caio Bahaio. Who knows? We'll see. But either way, it was a good win for RoboCop, and it's our boy. So can't wait to see what he does next.
Who would you take, Brad Tavares or Breachik in a 3-round fight?
Brad Tavares.
You think so? You think he'd finish him?
Probably
not.
Probably not, but he'd definitely win.
All right. Just a little curiosity, just a little curious booking.
Middleweight booking.
Yeah, just little Shoulder Strikes MMA booking real quick. How about
middleweight fights?
How about Michael Johnson getting a unanimous decision victory over Darius Flowers? This fight was really boring. I watched the whole thing. It's left with really nothing. It's just kind of played out exactly how we thought it was going into it, and that's just all I can really say.
It almost did a 180 and went the other way,
it did.
Which we also thought could have happened in the third round. I think Flowers hit him with a knee or something.
Yeah.
He started getting wobbly. We're like, oh, no, Michael, don't do this again. And then he was able to really work his wrestling in. So good on him knowing what he had to do and what was there to do. I mean, out wrestling Darius Flowers not easy or not hard. So he was able to get that done. But I agree, not a very active fight, not a very enthusiastic or exciting fight whatsoever. Most of the guys, they were Flowers was going to the leg, Michael Johnson was going to the body. That's what they were pretty much doing each. They landed a combined 26 head strikes, so not great.
No, not exactly the most exciting barn burner of a fight, and we keep it moving. How about Adolfo Vieira with an arm triangle, first round arm triangle submission over Armin Petrosian? This one hurt me. It hurt you double. This
hurt Armin.
It hurt Armin. Yeah, I'm sure his neck was bothering him after this. I don't want to even say it really was an eye-opening kind of fight. It's just exactly how Adolfo Vieira has to win fights. But I will say the takedown was a little too easy, and the ease in which he held him down was really concerning, and it kind of, I would say, stalled or halted my love or the hype train that my personal gambling train that I have on Armin Petrosian. So I will probably be taking a leave of absence from gambling on Armin Petrosian fights, or at least betting on him during a fight, because I will say Ty looked good early on. He was controlling the octagon, landing leg kicks, landing those little jabs, but he looked a little stiff. I don't know, something about it I just didn't like. You kind of had I had a bad feeling the longer the fight was going on, because Adolfo wasn't really getting pushed or really getting hurt, or really wasn't even sweating all that much. He just kind of seemed like he was chilling. And yeah. I mean, Armin did good on the ground for a while defending himself, but he fed him that arm triangle at the end of that round. I don't understand how that happened.
You make one or two little mistakes on the ground against somebody who will make zero mistakes, and that's the fight. It doesn't matter how much time's left. He had a couple seconds left, and I was like, all right, he's kind of holding steady, and then the arm triangle it worked its way in, and I was like, oh man, I don't think we're making it this last 12 seconds. He might go out. It looked like he might have went out. He tapped, and then he said he didn't, but clearly did. And I think that was Adolfo's fifth arm triangle. 4 in the UFC, so that's his move. That's his go-to. I mean, if you can't keep a guy off you, if you can't at least have your grappling to an average level, then it's over. It's pretty much over.
Yeah.
So, and he has to do it early. If you can drown him, if you can get him to the deep waters, maybe you can combat that gap in jiu-jitsu and be able to outstrike him. But that's pretty much what it is with him. I mean, we said it before, but going forward, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how they match him up, see who they throw at him. If you got any kind of like Fluffy Hernandez, that was a perfect opponent to beat Adolfo Vieira, and the fact that he submitted him was crazy. But that was just a dagger that I honestly didn't really see coming.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I just left this real like I don't want to say sad, but just disappointed that I mean, I guess I have to stop just blindly fading Adolfo Vieira. I guess that's kind of one of the things I learned, and also I just have to. I don't know. I thought more of Petrosian. I thought he was going to be able to defend himself better and not kind of panic. And like you said, he just made one or two mistakes on the ground, and that's it. That's just kind of how the fight goes. And 12 seconds left on the clock, and he couldn't get to the buzzer. It's unfortunate. But how about Carlos Prates? I still don't know exactly how you're supposed to say that.
I think it's Prates.
This fight, I didn't leave this fight thinking that Prates is the the next 170 champion of the world. It's these guys. He was getting out kickboxed by Trevin Giles for portions of this fight, which I'd say that's somewhat concerning. But he's so long, and those knees were explosive, coming right up the middle. He was landing them on the body, especially when he was going for takedowns. He was, obviously aiming for the head, it seemed, but he was landing heavily on the body. So you could see the reaction from Trevin Giles would back up sometimes and be like, wow, what the fuck, man? That shit hurt. And eventually what did him in was that straight piston down the middle left hand that just knocked him out. And good on the ref to get in there and stop that. I don't even know who the ref was. But
it was Mark Smith.
Mike Beltran.
Wow.
How about
Big Mike coming back to
Big
avenge
Mike
himself?
Doing a good job getting in there after he was letting somebody get killed a couple months ago. So there you go.
Yeah.
Good win for Carlos Prates.
Yeah, Trevin Giles in all of his losses has been finished. So that's definitely an issue. I mean, this fight he was winning easily. I mean, he outstruck Prates 35-24 in the first, 35-14 in the second. He landed his significant strikes at 66%. Prates 51%. Like you were saying, 41 of 49 to the legs, 67 of 100 at distance. He was just dominating and controlling and doing what he needed and what he wanted to do, and then he just couldn't stay out of the way of Prates' straight left. Like you said, a piston coming in hot. He definitely has that ability to do that. Prates does, but I'm with you. I'm not really on board. It seems like he has a style that guys will be able to figure out, and he's only he's 30. So I don't think he also has a lot of fights. So I don't think his ceiling is that necessarily high. Surely he can definitely improve and whatnot. Maybe his UFC debut being Trevin Giles isn't the easiest opponent in the world.
I agree.
And a huge jump up from Mitch Ramirez, a guy in the Contender Series. That guy stunk. But even that fight wasn't great. The first round didn't go that well for him. So I feel like he's going to be a knockout or bust kind of fighter, which is fun. I just don't know how highly I rate him at this point.
Yeah, I don't at all. It's not like you said. I think he could probably have a better performance next time out with it not being his UFC debut. I just more look at it as when he gets to the next level of competition. That's not Trevin Giles. He's going to be in trouble, and something really bad is going to happen to that guy in one of these fights. I don't know who's going to do it. I don't know, I don't know when, I don't know how, I don't know where, but something bad is going to happen at some point, and he's going to get cleaned out. And I hope money goes into my account when that happens. So that's the unfortunate thing. I was thinking about this when I'm betting football last night, and I'm like, yeah, it's a football game, people going back and forth trying to score points. Like, when we bet UFC, I'm literally rooting for a guy to get brain damage and get separated from his consciousness so that green enters my account, and I feel good about it.
$22.
Yeah,
I can have a big Happy Meal.
Literally, this is great. I can't wait. Yeah.
Thank you, Brad Tavares, for struggling and developing some long-term health issues. Yeah. Now I can have Chick-fil-A. Thank you.
For free. Thank you for the Chick-fil-A, Mr. RoboCop. How about Balaji Oki? Is that how you say this gentleman's name?
Balaji Oki.
Balaji Oki. I'm not doing too bad. How about him getting a split decision victory over Timmy Kawamba, who it was Timothy, now he's Timmy. So that's an interesting change in this situation. It seemed like the judges were a little mixed up on
Chris
that.
Lee.
What round was it? The
third
round, right? Yeah. Mike Bell's the only one. Or no, you're right. It was Chris Lee was the only one who did not give the third round to Oki. So I guess I'll ask you, Ty, do you agree with that? And do you agree with the decision in general that the right person won this fight?
Yeah, I thought he won. I thought he won 1 and 3. I think 2 he probably lost because he just didn't do much. The striking was kind of even, really, and then Timmy was able to get a takedown and have a little bit of control. So I think that might have been his round. But round 1, he dominated. He was throwing that jab pretty well. He even got a takedown. Balaji did. And then round 3, he was kind of doing a little bit more. I mean, his volume or his accuracy was very inconsistent. His volume was inconsistent. His whole overall fight was very inconsistent. 39% land percentage for Oki. It's not great. I mean, he has a good jab, but a lot of feinting, and that's pretty much it. I was very disappointed by his lack of leg kicks. I think Kwamba had his calf right there. I don't know who it was. It might have been Cruz who said, "I'm surprised he's not throwing any leg kicks." I mean, Kwamba's kind of just asking for it. So yeah, I mean, at distance, he definitely doubled him up. And just in general, he outstruck him. I mean, he pretty much just headhunts, but he doesn't even throw big shots. It's kind of weird. He definitely needs some seasoning for sure. I mean, both guys. I mean, they both have a combined. Sure. Yeah, they both have 10 fights. So just a low level middleweight or lightweight fight where I could see some potential in both guys. But Kwamba should probably move back down to 145, and then we'll see how Oki's striking improves. He definitely has speed and power, but got to get some technique in there.
Kwamba's last fight kind of looked a lot like this one. Kind of a back and forth sort of affair. I don't know if that's in his nature or like. I mean, I see he has some TKOs on his thing, but they're not exactly against the who's who of talent in the mixed martial arts world. So 3-1, 4-5, 7-2. The guys he's knocked. Michael Stack
lost that decision on the Contender Series too. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I like they gave him the win, but I always in my mind I'm like, you lost that fight. I don't care what anybody says. How about Luma cashing us out against Bruno Brazil? It's not Sean O'Bannon in there, so you can't exactly count on another Bruno Brazil victory, I guess. But Luma gets the 29-28 decision, and it seemed like they were a little mixed up, though, as your boy Junichiro, who we kind of default to from time to time. He's the only one who didn't give the third round to Luma Luke Buname, but at the end of the day, we get a decision for her. What do we have here? What did we not?
I thought the third round was close.
You took Loma. I did not. Damn,
I thought Bruno could have had that.
Plus 105 for you, though.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'm surprised you didn't either, but I also don't believe you for staying away.
I was staying away from all these. Yeah,
we should have. We should have went 0-0 is what we should have done. But whatever. We'll take it. All in a hard day.
Hey, I'll take my plus 9.5 units this week. I needed that to chip away.
Plus 95 units. Wow, good job.
Wouldn't that be nice? I wouldn't probably. We probably would take the week off from the podcast if that was the case.
We'll take a trip to Cancun with Cancun Kittle. So I think, Luma she just outstruck her. She did well in the clinch. She threw a lot of good leg kicks. She was able to get that takedown in round 1. She actually got taken down in round 3. That's why I thought Bruno Brazil might have been able to get at least that round. But other than that, she didn't do anything. Like you said, boring fight, low volume. They were pretty much going to the body and going to the legs, and that's it. There was not much head hunting at all. So, another snoozer.
How about
another snoozer?
Another snoozer, and we're gonna have some more to talk about. How about
there's a lot of snoozing?
Speaking of which, how about Marcin Prachnio getting a unanimous decision victory over Devin Clark? Ty, can I ask you why I thought Devin Clark was gonna win a decision here, and I took that on my own, on my own accord? This is one of the fights that I bet when I was going to dinner and came out, and I was like, oh wow, it wasn't even close. Okay, and I did not go back. I did not go back and watch it because I don't think I need to see much. It's I'm counting on you to tell me that, what I think happened exactly happened, probably.
Yeah, the same guy that got taken down 4 times by Philip Lins and Vitor Petrino. Devin Clark only shot twice, and he couldn't get him down. It was odd. He got taken down by Prachnio actually in the third, just to put a stamp on the fight. It was really weird. And not surprising if you bet Devin Clark, and Devin Clark being a favorite of any kind of any sort is definitely a red flag in general. So we were talking about it, and I was waiting for you to give me the green light. I was waiting for you to convince me to take Prachnio in the upset, and I didn't because I honestly didn't really believe in either of these guys. But he dominated him in the clinch. He dominated him at distance. He went to the legs a lot. Devin Clark doesn't check leg kicks for a guy who's built. He's pretty stocky. He doesn't check leg kicks very well. And that was pretty much the fight. He was headhunting a little bit, Devin Clark, but he doesn't really have much striking. So just another L for Dev Clark.
I don't know the status of the Roster Watch account these days, so maybe you might have to look in other areas. The roster tracker, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if this guy's receiving death threats or I don't know what's going on with the whole roster track community, but look out for Devin Clark's name on there this week because I think the Brown Bear might be looking into the regional scene again after these recent performances. So how about we keep it moving? Max Payne Griffin getting that decision victory for me in my personal life. Shout out to Max Griffin. I wanted to take it so bad on this podcast, but I couldn't because I just didn't trust that Jeremiah Wells wouldn't either take him down, submit him, or crack him and hurt him, which he did multiple times during this fight. So I was happy I didn't take it on the card, but it wound up split decision. I think it really could have gone either way. I don't think I had a thought that one person won, or I think it was 1-1 going into the third round. I think Max Griffin won, I thought. But really, again, like I said, I think you could have given it to either one of these guys on those first 2 rounds. I don't know. It really was one of them where I don't think it was possible to be robbed.
Yeah, very just nothing fight. I think Max Griffin, I believe, was it? I could be wrong. Wasn't he complaining about Sal D'Amato because Sal D'Amato did not give him this card, right?
Yeah.
And he said that's happened to him many times before. But also, Max Griffin fights on just extremely thin margins.
Yes.
Every fight. That's just kind of what he does. I mean, how many split decisions has he been a part of in the UFC? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's insane.
Knocking down Thiago Alves, taking him down multiple times and still losing a split. Knocking down Neil Magny, losing a split. It's what he does, kind of, But I am glad he got this win. I mean, both guys are kind of just, they're both older and they're both just like you said. And this fight was also Chris Tognoni didn't have to do much in there, and Jeremiah Wells, his body language isn't good ever. He kind of just explodes in the shots, and that they were both just exploding into their shots, and that was it. They weren't setting them up, they weren't following them up. So just all around, just nothing fight to really go with the theme of the card.
Yeah, 2 older guys who, that's all I can really say. It's didn't really care for this at all. I won money, but so what? Who cares? You want to talk about something I was more thrilled to win money in? Guskov. Bogdan Guskov. The foreign Anthony Smith, as some people have called him in the streets. Yo, did you see they took a picture together?
No.
Yeah, dude, I was cracking up. There's a picture of them two, like celebrating it, like not like celebrating, but like in the back, like him just like them standing next to each other.
I just saw it.
Yeah, I forget what they tagged it with, but it was so funny. Shout out to Guskov. Wow. They do really look alike. It's actually insane.
Yeah, Karen Bryant put it on her Instagram. I guess Anthony Smith has a little bit more facial hair, and that's the only thing. Anthony Smith's cracking up laughing the entire time. Also, his teeth look fixed. So there's that. Shout out to Veneers.
Shout out. And if I had the money that guy had, I'd do the same thing. Why not?
Yeah.
Especially when you're. Well, I mean, he's still fighting, so I don't know if that's the best move. But hey, he should
be done.
He should
Put him behind the desk.
Definitely should be. But
he's pretty good in the role they have him in. I actually like him in that role.
I think he's a great analyst. I really do. I don't know if he would be a great commentator because I think he's just a little too methodical in some ways.
Yeah, let's try him out, dude. Let's try him out and swap out DC or Cruz for once. I think Cruz is starting to get on my nerves a little bit. I know I was talking him up. But
yeah. I think he's kind of those two are similar in the sense that they're very like analytical and methodical, but I think you would have to switch them in and out because, like you said, like Cruz will just get on your nerves eventually. He just talks too much. Says too much dumb shit, and you're like, all right, I need a break from you. A couple weeks of listening to DC, and then you're like, all right, bring Cruz back.
Yeah. I actually like Brendan Fitzgerald a lot. I
do too.
He's never going to really get the shine because he's in the John Anik B role, but with John Anik talking about possibly hanging him up, doing football, I would love John Anik to the Super Bowl over Tony Romo. That's for sure. To get Anik and Brady doing the Super Bowl? Come on.
Oh, man.
So, maybe that happens. Yeah, maybe that happens. Maybe Anik steps away in a couple of years. Maybe he's the first big domino to fall. Because there's a lot of guys who have been around the UFC for a while. I mean, when's Dana White going to walk away? When's Buffer going to walk away? When's Saudi Amato going to walk away? When's Ron McCarthy going to walk away? Is when
Ron's just getting started.
That's good. So, what are we doing again? Guskov, great win. Zach Pauga. I think we had this. We were sharp on this one. It was just a matter of time before that unorthodox striking found its way home, and yeah, he put him out pretty bad. That was good.
Well, like we said in the lead up to this, the matchup and the level of competition, Guskov fighting Uzdemir last time out, and then dropping all the way down to Zach Pauga is like, okay,
yes.
They're kind of trying to get him a get-right fight and get him back in there, because Pauga is not a UFC fighter. He was on the Ultimate Fighter, and he was there, but he should not be here because, again, it's not even about his losses. It's the fact that he could not finish Jordan Wright, and I will never let him live that down because everybody else has finished Jordan Wright except him, and that's that. How about Hyder Emil? This is one of the first times I'm seeing this guy. I'm just kind of getting used to this gentleman. Absolutely jacked, Ty. I mean, this guy is a unit. He is not young. He's an older gentleman. But he is huge for featherweight. And he killed Fernie Garcia. Fernie Garcia got the beats put on him in this fight. An easy TKO victory for him. It's a shame you had the decision. I thought that was a good bet, but it just looked like maybe we underestimated Emil a little bit.
Yeah, I actually like him. He's explosive, man. He, like I said, he reminds me a lot of. Was it him that reminds me a lot of Carlos Condit? Or
I think you said something or Paula, like some sort of Costa.
Gilbert Melendez.
Yeah, Gilbert Melendez. That's what it was.
That's who he reminds me of. And this fight was definitely reminiscent of a Gilbert Melendez fight. I mean, he mixed in a little bit of wrestling, right, just to show that he has it in the first round. And in the second round, he was like, "Fuck this, we're going to war." He almost got dropped by Fernie, I believe, in the first round. After he dropped him, he almost got dropped, and then they went to the ground. Fernie reversed him. And it was a back and forth-ish, even though he was pretty much landing the better shots and dominating. But Fernie hung around a little bit, just not long enough.
Yeah, I'm just kind of I'm already looking at the next fight. Yeah,
Fernie's pretty. That's 4 in a row now. His only win in the UFC was on the Contender Series against Joshua Weems, who I don't believe is even around anymore. Is he?
No, and like we talked about last time, that Nakamura loss, not the Nakamura loss, but the Brady Highstand loss, the Journey Newsom loss, although they were unanimous decision, it was like, yeah, exactly, they were bad, but it's like, oh, well, he survived, this one, he took a bad beating in this one, so maybe it might be time for him to hit the roster watch with Devin Clark and figure out what's next. So how about Daniel Marcos and Arichi Lang ends in a no contest, unintentional groin strike. Unfortunate. Daniel Marcos was putting the beats on Arichi Lang here for good portions of this fight. It's, it was a weird. There was a couple of the groin strikes. There wasn't just one, I believe. And it just.
Multiple, anything.
Yeah,
they were going
back
and forth. Eye poke.
Yeah.
Jason Herzog at one point was like, all right, the next time one of you fuckers does something, I'm taking a point. This is enough. He actually did a really good job, I thought, Jason Herzog. He's the best when it comes to shit like this. Neither guy speaks English, so he was able to just get the translators in there and make sure there wasn't any stalling or any kind of anything. And then I think Arichi Lang honestly just didn't want to go.
No,
is what I think. I think he just didn't want to continue. I mean, it seemed like
he's taking a lot of damage.
Most of that kick landed on his thigh. Also, he's the one who jumped.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't want to blame him or say he quit or was finding a way out. But yeah, he was getting his ass beat bad. I mean, Daniel Marcos looked really good. I like his striking a lot. It looks like it's come a long way since even just the Davey Grant fight.
Yeah,
but, we'll see. I mean, his wins have been very low level. Brandon Lewis, Simon Oliveira, and Arichi Lang. Arichi Lang's tough and he swings hard and hits hard himself, but he's just not very good. I'll say Davey Grant at least is well rounded, pretty good all around. A little old, but. Yeah, we'll see what Daniel Marcos has next. He's undefeated still. So that's something to watch. I mean, that was going to have to go eventually, right? So Yeah, we'll see.
I will say we were kind of not detractors, but we were a little hesitant and kind of questioning Daniel Marcos's legitimacy and things of that nature before this fight. This did a great job of quelling or kind of calming those thoughts down, thinking maybe he is a little legit because, like you said, that striking looked good, it looked sharp, it looked quick in this fight, and I'll be curious to see who they match him up with next. I don't know if they would run this back. I don't think this is really worthy of a run back situation, but I don't know. I'm. It's just unfortunate. I hate when we get no contest on here. I'm just glad none of us had anything here that we didn't get screwed on.
Yeah, if only we would have bet no contest.
Yeah, wouldn't that be sweet? How about Dan Ige getting 50K like we talked about, Adolfo Vieira getting 50K, Pratis getting 50K for his knockout of Trevin Giles, and Bogdan Guskov getting 50K for the boys. Ty, Teofimo Lopez takes a questionable. Was it unanimous? I don't even know if it was unanimous for the split.
It was 115, 113 twice, and then 117, 111, which is absolutely.
I'd like to hear your extended thoughts on this fight because I've heard a lot of different people. I've talked to some people, but I'd like to hear what you think about this fight because you were excited about this going into it.
Yeah, I think the time off is really what kills him. It kills boxers a lot. It had been on, I think, he was supposed to fight in December, which would have been a nice 6-month bounce back after the Josh Taylor fight. And the Josh Taylor fight was really good. And that was after, it was only it was 6 months after he beat Sandor Martin, which was just a couple months after he beat Pedro Campa. But it was a long wait from Kambosos to Campa. So he always takes this time off all the time. Even the Kambosos fight, I think, was a year after he fought Lomachenko, and he lost to Kambosos because he takes these extended breaks. And also, you just never know. You keep getting different versions of Teofimo Lopez. He only has 21 pro fights. I feel like that's something to notice. When guys win titles earlier in their career, I feel like you get a little bit of inactivity. They're much less active. I remember Floyd fought, I think one time, was it 98? He fought like 6-7 times in 1998, and then he won his first title. And then he's, eventually started to slow down volume-wise or activity-wise. And I think that's something to note. He's 26, Teofimo is. He only has 21 pro fights. So you do get a lot of inconsistency from him. And it's tough, man. It's really tough to see. I mean, dude, there was only one round. I'm sorry, there was only 3 rounds of the 24 combined, if you 12 each fighter. There was only 3 instances where a fighter landed double-digit strikes in a round. 2 were in the 12th, but they each landed 15, and then there was the 7th, Teofimo landed 11. Meanwhile, if you look at Keyshawn Davis and Jose Pedraza in the co-main event, Keyshawn Davis, now Jose Pedraza moved down, and he's very washed up, but that was Keyshawn Davis's 10th pro fight. He went 14, 19, 43, 28, 19, 16, and just beat the brakes off of Pedraza and finished him in the 6th. Teofimo went 4, 4, 5, 5, 3, 6, 11, 6, 3, 8, 8, 15. That's pathetic. That is absolutely pathetic. You're supposed to be one of the best in the world. You're supposed to be all action. You're supposed to be this and that. Jab-wise, he landed 12 jabs in the fight. 1 jab per round on average. That is completely pathetic. I think Keyshawn Davis, again, I don't want to compare them necessarily, but I believe Keyshawn Davis landed 35 jabs in only 6 rounds. So I don't really know what the deal is. I'm sure we'll find out tomorrow that Teofimo broke his hand at some point, right? That's always such a good excuse to lay on. I remember Floyd, he used to break his hand every fight, but he would always say, that's why it wasn't a great fight. That's why. And a lot of guys do that, but Teofimo was actually outlanded by Jermaine Ortiz. I don't want to, let Jermaine Ortiz off the hook. He also fought a pathetic fight. He did a lot of running. Teofimo described it as running. It's easy to say that, especially when you're just going to chase some guy around. You're not cutting off the ring. You're just chasing him in circles, right? Both guys put on a pathetic performance, in my opinion. And it's just we need Teofimo. Why didn't he fight in December? He turned down a fight. Remember, he retired that one time for a brief period of time. It seems like when boxers turn 25, 26, they decide to retire. Shakur Stevenson just did that. So, he had such a good chance here. He had such a good opportunity to really put himself in the limelight, put himself, introduce himself to some other fans that really, don't know it. I mean, this is prize fighting, and he's not really, who's gonna put up a big purse for him to fight somebody. After a fight like this, I mean, nobody. I very disappointed, I will say, by Teofimo's just lack of volume, lack of want, lack of will, lack of push. That was on Thursday, right? That fight. So a couple days before this week. So it wasn't on this weekend, but it didn't set the weekend up. It set the weekend up to be a boring combat sports fight, or weekend, I should say. So he's very talented, but
it wasn't a good sign when this happened.
He needs more seasoning. He needs to mature. He needs to grow up a little bit. He's still only 26. It's not that I don't think he's that good. It's just, he hasn't developed his skill set. So by the time he's 30, I think is when we'll see the best version of himself. Get a couple more fights in there, but I don't know. Truly, it's every other fight is just a different version of Teofimo.
Yeah, that's what it seems like to me as the casual boxing fan in this conversation. He's one of those guys that I tune into. In this fight, I actually forgot was happening, and then I think it was like 12:30 that I turned it on. It was like the last couple rounds, and you could just see. I mean, the main round that I was really paying attention to was 12 because they were acting like Teofimo was going to lose the fight, and I saw the odds were very close, so you just never know. And that I just will never understand when a guy is running away the way Ortiz was at the end, when you don't know who won the fight or who didn't. And you're just going to give away the 12th round because I guess, did he think he had already won? Was that the case? I don't know.
I'm not sure, yeah. But the 117 and 111 scorecard is
insane. Yeah, that sounded insane because the odds were
hilarious.
Like plus 160, minus 120. And for a boxing match, at the very end for it to be like that, I was like, wow, this is... I got to tune in and see the end of this. And I turned it off before the end because I already knew once I saw the 12th round play out, I knew... Oh, Teofimo was going to win a decision. I don't know how. I don't know, what the number's going to be, but he won and wound up being right.
Yeah.
So
that was Steve Weisfeld, who maybe needs to hang him up.
Seems like a lot of people in the judging community need to hang him up, and we'll keep calling them out whenever we get the chance to. So we have UFC 298 coming up this weekend. I am excited about that. I was just taking a look at it real quick. Like you said, I think you made mention of it. Looks like Volk might trend towards being an underdog by the time this fight goes off.
It's over. It's over for Volk.
Sorry. You have been a big believer. He opened as a minus 175 favorite. He's down to around minus 115. So the odds have moved heavily in Toporia's favor. I think now is the time if you're going to bet Mr. Topuria to get in there. Do you think he finishes him? Is that what are you that confident in this?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
just a simple I like that.
I think we're going to see a lot of improvements. We've seen a lot of improvements from fight to fight from Topuria. It's been a little bit, right? It hasn't been a year exact. It's been about 8 months. I think we're going to see more crispness, more sharpness, more just an all-around game. And I know Volk has been working with, was it Craig Jones, right? The jiu-jitsu coach. I think Topuria, if the opportunity presents itself, he's going to run through him on the ground. He's not going to be like Ortega where he's just sub-hunting. He's going to try to kill him on the ground. Elbows, shots from the back, shots from every position on the ground. He's going to look for some ground and pound, try to get him to turn, and then he can throw in that rear naked choke or any choke. He likes the anaconda. He likes the mounted guillotine. He likes the guillotine in general. So he had the arm triangle against Bryce Mitchell. Remember when I think Joe Rogan and DC were like, oh no, you don't want to do that. You don't want to go play around with Bryce Mitchell on the ground. Yeah, it turns out he fucking ragdolled him and then arm triangle. Yeah. Same thing they were saying against Ryan Hall. Like, he doesn't want to mess with Ryan Hall on the ground. Meanwhile, the guy only knows one thing. It's to go for a heel hook. So I think Topuria has made so many improvements over his career. We can go deeper into it later.
Yeah, we'll save it later on. Yeah.
But yeah, it's time, man. I have to call my shot. You know, if he dies, he dies. And he definitely has to improve his striking defense. That's the most important part because he wasn't naturally a striker. Again, I can keep going, but I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the card. Yeah. I think the main card itself is going to be awesome. It starts with Kopylov and Fluffy. I think that's going to be I don't even know who I got. I like them both.
That's
11
a
and 2
great
and 12 and 2. They're both hot lately.
Dude,
Following that,
those last four are incredible, dude.
yeah, they're awesome. They're awesome. I mean, you get Merab and Cejudo. I'm not too excited about that, but now you have Merab. Apparently, he's going to have Eric Albarcine in his corner, who just got fired from Cejudo's corner, I guess. That's going to be interesting. Ian Gary, Jeff Neal. There's storylines in that fight as well. Remember was it a DUI Jeff Neal got, and then Ian Gary made a shirt.
Yep.
And Saif Saud not happy. I think you're going to see probably the best version of Jeff Neal. Again, he's 33, coming off a loss against Shavkat, but he almost went the distance. I think he missed weight in that fight too. You're going to see a very calculated, a very focused Jeff Neal in this fight, and we could see the first L for Ian Machado, Gary. And then you have the bounce back of Paulo Costa and Robert Whitaker. That should be exciting. Not sure. I don't know who's going to win that one either,
dude.
And
some of those lines are a little like skewed. I mean, Paulo Costa is a plus 185 underdog. Cejudo's plus 160. Jeff Neal's plus 190. So there might be a lot of live dogs here during this next podcast. So I would
Justin Taffa.
Justin Taffa, Jesus, I can't believe that was the next name that came out of your mouth after all that. Amanda Lemos and Mackenzie Dern on the prelims. That's
staying away from that one.
Is this Japanese Connor Rinya Nakamura? Is that what's going on here? All right. How about it? After his illustrious win against Fernie Garcia, we don't want to spoil all of our conversation, and we will save some of that for later on this week's episode, where we will discuss this in depth, give picks, predictions, information, bets, anything you need going into the weekend to enjoy the card. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Matt McSweeney.
I'm Ty Capone.
And this has been the Shoulder Strikes MMA Podcast. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you tuck your chin.